Do you ever think to yourselves, what the f have I done? My name's Mike, I'm the big guy here. I'm the curator of Leighton Buzzard Cars and Coffee. I'm also the guy on the barbecue. I recently bought a Porsche sight unseen off the internet. I am that stupid. This is my Porsche 924. In this upcoming series, I'm going to take you through the restoration of this unloved classic Porsche. And this is it. This was it turning up the first time I'd actually seen it in the flesh. My friend Rob had recovered it for me about 120 miles away. I actually bought the car from an eBay auction. I won the car for not a huge amount of money, so I was quite pleased with myself, but I didn't realise what I'd actually got myself into. When the vehicle turned up, I was initially very pleased with the condition. I was very surprised that there was no major rust, any major failures on the vehicle. Once the car was here with me, I did everything I could to do some research on it, but what I'm going to do now is just very quickly tell you about the 924 and how I ended up with one in my possession.
Popular lore says the Porsche 924 isn't a Porsche at all and is instead a Volkswagen with a Porsche badge on it. Popular lore is correct, but popular lore is also completely wrong.
That's a snip from Haggerty's 924 documentary. It's a brilliant watch, but not all 924s are perfect.
They're probably not ones like this. It's what I bought though, a 23-year-old 924. The Porsche that was designed for every man. I didn't spend 1,500 quid on my 924. I didn't even spend...
The 924 has always been Porsche's whipping boy. It's always been unloved. It's always been the one that nobody talks about and nobody cares about. It's always been the one that people put to the back of their mind when they think of Porsches. But actually, it is a Porsche through and through, although it might use some Volkswagen parts. The 924 was originally developed to be Volkswagen's first Scirocco. They were looking for a cheap, sporty coupe powered by an Audi engine. When that all fell through, Porsche were left with a car with no buyer. So essentially they had wasted all this time on a project, but they weren't prepared to do that. So Porsche decided to market the car themselves and make it the everyman's Porsche. They made it a cheap, affordable car with cheaper parts because of the fact that it had the Volkswagen catalogue behind it. When the car was first released, it got a lot of hate. It wasn't rear-wheel drive like the 911, it wasn't air-cooled, it was water-cooled. This was a first for Porsche, and it didn't go down well. It received a lot of bad reviews in the press. Up to this point, Porsche had basically been a development company for hire. They had always leased themselves out to different firms to produce vehicles for other people and used the money that they earned from that to either go racing or to develop their own cars like the 911. Because of the 924's transaxle layout, it meant that the car would always have fantastic handling from the offset. It had a near 50-50 weight distribution and gave it perfect handling. It meant that if the Porsche decided that it was going to start to oversteer, it was easy to correct and predictable. During its production, the 924 went on to have quite a few variants of model. There were a few special editions, things like the Le Mans, but the big editions were things like the 924 Turbo, which obviously added the turbo, gave it more horsepower and gave it that desired performance that it had lacked from the factory initially. After a few more years, the engines that they'd agreed to buy from Volkswagen and Audi had run out. At this point, Porsche had to develop their own 4-cylinder engine. Instead of using one of their engines from another platform, they decided to develop one from scratch, initially thinking that they could just cut one of their V8s in half, but developing a 4-cylinder in itself. The 2.5 litre inline-4 was born. This gave birth to the 924S, arguably better than the first generation of 944. The final edition of the 924 was the very rare and much loved 924 Carrera GT, which had a much larger turbo and was developed specifically for racing, and when it was released was actually one of the fastest cars that Porsche produced, but was actually at that point in time the fastest car that was available to purchase in North America. And that was just a quick history lesson on the 924 and why it's such an underrated gem in Porsche's fleet. The videos from Petrolicious and Magnus Walker are great watches, I highly recommend them. I'm just going to take a little bit of time now to walk you through how I ended up with one and what I plan to do with mine. So this is the original eBay advert. The images aren't great, but you can see that I won the auction for £1,493. The description wasn't great, but I felt, based on the images, it was worth putting a bid in, and my maximum bid was actually £1,510. I always put it slightly higher, just in case somebody decides to bid the same as me. Looking around the images of the vehicle, you can see it is in pretty good nick for its age. The gentleman who actually uploaded the auction, his name was Mike, really lovely old guy. He unfortunately wasn't able to take very good images of the vehicle. It had been stored in his garage for 15 years, so I would class this as a proper barn find. Unfortunately, when his wife was poorly, they put it away and never came back to it. But he had agreed that if there was any rust on the underside of the vehicle, when my man Rob went to go and get the vehicle, I didn't actually have to buy it if I wasn't happy with the quality or the condition of the underside of the vehicle. And this is Mike. He was the previous owner of the vehicle, and I really hope he gets to see these videos.
Right guys, so this is the car. This is the car that I have bought sight unseen off of eBay. It is a 1984 Porsche 924. I won it in an auction for £1,493. It turned up on the trailer a few days ago. I've had a chance to have a quick look over the car, but nothing too major. The only real damage to the body I can see is down here. I don't know if it'll pick it up in the light, but I'll try and get it. So there's some rust just here, and then there's some more over here as well where it's blowing out. But otherwise, yeah, really happy with the condition of the car. It needs a really good polish, obviously. Knowing when I bought it, it doesn't run. Well, I say it doesn't, it hasn't run since 2008. The old guy that I bought it off of, really lovely guy called Mike as well. He, unfortunately his wife was poorly and he was unable to work on it anymore. So I'm going to give you just a quick rundown on the car. I've had a chance to just have a little look at it. I've put a battery on it since getting it just to check a few things. Neither the bonnet nor the boot hood props keep the vehicle up. So I'm going to have to hold the bonnet up because it's dropping down. But otherwise I'm happy with the condition inside. I'm happy with the condition under here. There's no rot or rust under here, just a bit of general dirt and grime. I have taken out, I'm going to hold the bonnet up my head now. I have taken out the spark plugs and I've lubricated the bores. I've turned it over by hand. It does turn over by hand. Like I say, I have put a battery on it with my incredible battery cover as well, made from a piece of cardboard, so it doesn't earth out on the bonnet because it looks like potentially it has been touching. I had a very quick look at the air filter. It looks pretty mank. I have bought some parts for it, and I also took the timing belt cover off as well, just to check the condition of the belt, and I took the water pump pulley off as well. You'll see in a minute I have got parts for it inside the car. Okay, I'm going to just take you around to the back of the car now. If you can't tell, this is like my first YouTube video or upload. Right guys, sorry about that. My colleague popped in. I am actually filming this at work. I do work at a garage. I'm not on the spanners anymore, but I used to be. Now I'm a manager in the office. And as you can tell, the boot struts don't hold it up either. So I've propped it up with a bit of hose off the vacuum, but I really wanted to show you the inside of the boot, because although it's a bit grubby, the actual inside of the tyre, its wells behind the wheels, is in great condition. You know, there's no rust, there's no obvious signs of any damage or corrosion, so I'm really pleased with that. There's a bit of sound denting come off there, but that's about it. And again, the same on this side. There's the toolkit down there, but no rust or anything, so I'm really pleased with that. I have already started buying parts for it, and they're in the car. I've got a few bits and pieces in here. The guy who I got it off of actually gave me a load of history, which I'll show you all later, and a owner's manual, a Haynes manual, which is super handy. I've got a timing belt, oil filter, air filter and spark plugs, so hopefully that should be enough to get us going and get it started. Interior is pretty standard on these. It's got some major cracks on the dash, which is pretty standard on these. You can see them better from the outside, as you can. Just along here, you've got the cracks normally between the air vents. It's actually not as bad as some of the ones I've seen, but it is pretty bad. And the guy who gave it to me also gave me a cover as well. But generally, I'm really happy with the condition of it. I've had a quick play with some of the electrics. I know the power windows don't work, and I know that the power windows don't work, and I also know that the heater fan's not working. But the most important thing is, and that is the pop-ups. They are working. Let's get them on and show you guys. There you go. Pop-ups work. Literally, one of the only reasons I wanted to buy this car was because it had pop-ups, and pop-ups automatically make any car cooler. So we have the working pop-ups, so that's great. Anyway guys, I'm going to stop it there because I've got some stuff to do. I need to get it on the ramp, and then you'll hopefully see it in the next episode, and we'll have a look and see what we can do.
So the first thing I need to do is thank you for watching my video. I really hope this is an exciting project. I hope you can stay and watch all of the upcoming videos that I've got planned for it. Every penny that I earn through YouTube will go directly towards this project. Please do a like, please share, please subscribe. The more help I can get with this, the more content I can create, and hopefully bring some cool cars back from the dead. See you on the next episode. Thanks for watching.